Previously, we have understood the basic idea of Outreg2, and in this video we are going to look at a couple of other options that we can use with Outreg2, and that would enhance its features. So let me install the dataset into my Stata file. We are using the same dataset that we used in the previous video. We describe the dataset, we know what variables are there. We run our regression, and now we want to report the results in the Word file, but instead of R square, what we want is adjusted R square. Remember that previously whenever we reported the results, it would show the R square value rather than the adjusted R square value. But we are interested in the adjusted R square value. So the option that we use is adjust R square, and it would replace R square with the adjusted R square. Let me run it. So now you can see we do not have the R square. Instead of R square, we have the adjusted R square. So imagine, let's say I do not want the R square or adjusted R square, then the option that we use is no R square. So when I use this option, it would remove the R square or adjusted R square. So you can see that the other data is there, but the R square value or adjusted R square value had been removed. Now, similarly, if I do not want to report the number of observations, then I use the no observation option. So let me run this command. So now you can see I didn't use the no R square option, but I used the no observation option. So it had deleted the number of observations row. Now, in case I want to report the results in a sideway rather than having the coefficients and the standard error in the next row, I want them in two separate columns. So I use the sideway option. Let me show you how it looks. So now you can see the coefficients are in one column and the standard errors are in another column. But the issue is that we have parentheses in here, and we do not want these parentheses. So we use the no parentheses option, which is no paren. And by using this option, still the sideway, including the sideway option, what we do is we remove the parentheses. So now you can see that there are no parentheses. Now by default we just get the R square and the number of observations, the coefficients and the standard errors. But what if we wanted to add some other statistics, say for example the F statistics or the degree of freedom? So the option that we have is add stats, and then within that option we write the legend. So in this case, this is the F stats, comma, the value that would be reported there. And let me show you first, and then I would explain it further. So now you can see that the F statistics, the p-value of the F statistics and the degree of freedom had been reported. Now let me go back to the command view. Now how do we write this? I have mentioned that we write the add stats, the option name, open parenthesis, then the legend which will be written in the first column. Then we need to tell the option, the Stata, that in which variable it is saved. So what Stata does, it saves the results of the previous regression in some variables, and there are two ways of knowing what variable the Stata have used to save them. The first one is to use the return list command, and the second one is to go towards the documentation of the regression command. So let me show you both these options. So first one is to use return list, and it would display the variables that had been used to store the results of previous regression command or whichever command that we have used. So we can see that the F statistics is stored in EF. So the number can be matched here. The P value is stored in E and P in parentheses, and the degree of freedom is stored in, let me show you, in this EDR. So we just need to copy them and paste them in our add stats option. The second is to use the help file of the command that we are using. So in this case we are using the regress command. If you were using the xdirect, then you would type help xdirect, press enter, and scroll down to the area where it shows the stored results and how this command stores the results. So it tells us the number of observations are stored in En, the modulus sum of square is stored in this variable. We just need to use the name of this variable in our command. So there are other couple of shorthand commands like no se, the tstat command, and what no se would do is it would not report any standard errors. So what do? Is we use this same command and we type no se, press enter, we open the file, and now you can see the coefficients are there, the other details are there, but the standard error are not reported. Similarly, instead of standard error, we can report the t-stats by using the t-stat option, the p-value by using the p-value option, the confidence interval, or the standardized beta. So these are shorthand options that we can also use with Outreg2. Moving forward, there is another option which is called stat, and what it does, it reports the statistics that we tell this Outreg2 command to report. So in this case, I want the coefficient, the standardized beta, the standard error, and the confidence interval to be reported in columns. You can see that the variables and data is reported in columns. So we have the confidence interval, the standard error, the standardized betas, and the coefficient, regression coefficients. We can also tell Stata that what level of confidence that we need to use, and the command that we use for this is level, and within parentheses we write the confidence interval. By default the confidence interval is 95, but we can change it using this level command. We can also change the significance level. So by default the significance level is 1%, 5%, and 10%. So instead of that, what we want is we want statics to be reported with just the 5% level of significance and the 1% level of significance. By default it would report the statics for the 10%, 5%, and the 1% significance level. The option that we use is alpha, and within alpha we type the significance level. So in this case I want the 1% significance level and the 5% significance level. Let me run this command. So I have reported the t-stats so that you can make the comparison. In this case this variable is significant at 10%, but there is no static reported in the Outreg2 command because I have asked the Outreg2 command not to do so. But we can see that this is significant at 5% and we have 1 static, and this is significant at 1% and we have 2 static. And similarly the legends had the static significance level in the notes had also been changed. But instead of this, what I want is to be consistent with my previous tables or with other researches. What I want is I want a 3 static for 1% level of significance and 2 static for 5% level of significance, and we have an option for this in Outreg2 command. The option is that we use the symbols. So in this case, I want the symbol 3 statics for this alpha option, and then I want 2 statics for this alpha option. Let me run this command. And now you can see previously we had 2 statics with this constant value, and we had 1 static with this value, and now it had been changed to whatever the value, the static number of statics, or whatever symbol I want Stata to be. And the note had also been adjusted similarly. Sometimes we would want the static to be reported with the t-stat values rather than with the coefficient values, or with some other values. So what we use an option is static, and then we write the name of the statistic that we want it to be used with. So let me run this command. Now you can see that instead of the statics with the coefficients, we have the statics with the t-stat value. Or you can simply remove any statics, and for that we use the no asterisk option. And let me see this. So no statics had been reported. And lastly, we are going to have this keep and drop option, and what it does is it only reports the variable that we want it to. So the keep would only keep the variables that are written within the parentheses. So although there are multiple variables in the regression, there are these MPG, these 4 variables, but we want to report the results of just MPG and trunk. So let me run this command, and now you can see although the regression had been run on all those 4 variables, but just the 2 variables are reported. And this can come in handy when we have year dummy or country dummy or cross-sectional dummies, and we just want to report the other variables rather than those dummy values. The same objective can be achieved with this drop option. So we write the name of the variable that we want to drop. So drop, in previous case we only reported the MPG and the trunk, so that means we need to drop the headroom and the displacement variable. So they would be there in the regression command, but they would not be reported in the table.